Hello and welcome to the channel, and here we have Miles Morales, Spider-Man and Spider-Gwen, and I got these figures some time ago, but I didn't actually see the films themselves till probably about a year and a half after they came out. I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, and when I saw clips of this film I didn't know if I'd really be into it. But eventually I caught up to them and I fell really in love with the characters, and I wanted to get the figures, and I decided I'd start collecting a few, and these are the only ones I've got from the franchise. But I decided that at some point I would start to get the rest of them. As of yet, I haven't managed to. So today we're just going to look at these two characters, Spider-Gwen and Spider-Man Miles Morales. Now I put them on flight stands, and they're not normally on flight stands, but I decided I'll try a few poses with them in this mode, and I quite like the effect. With Spider-Man, I tend to have him on the platform just doing his typical Spider-Man poses, but I decided it was about time, and I will be making more Spider-Man films with my other figures, putting them on flight stands. These flight stands came off the Falcon and my Dr. Fate figures, but I think they're a bit oversized for these particular ones, but I had to make a choice, and this is it. So that's the dynamics that I've tried to capture, and I think it works quite well. I'll get close up on him, and I do like that look and that image for Spider-Man. We're still waiting on the final installment of the story, but we're going to move on from this pose and see what else we can come up with, so stay tuned. So with these figures, they do come with a head sculpt, and you will see them in the next couple of minutes. And Miles Morales, let's come to him first. He comes with fighting fists, which he's got on at the moment, and web shooting hands. And Spider-Gwen, she comes with a gesture hand and a web shooting hand. Not much of a dynamic there, but I'll give it a go on the next one. Yeah, trouble with doing poses on flight stands are not really for the figures. They wobble a lot around the waist section there, and I've tried to get him as if he's grasping a web and he's flying through the air, and she's more in an upright position. But we're going to move it on quickly from this. I don't tend to spend a lot of time on poses I'm not that impressed by, even though I say it myself. So we'll get the next one in. So these poses really are to demonstrate probably the articulation of the figures, because obviously Spider-Man or someone with spider powers is going to be quite nimble, and that's what I'm trying to put across on camera. But what I'm going to do is change out the hands, and maybe we'll get a few more well, I think better dynamics with the web shooting hands, certainly on Miles Morales. And even though Spider-Gwen has only got one web shooting hand, I think we can get this better. But I like to test things out, so we'll move on from this. So this is a bit better because I've got the web shooting hands. Let's go to Miles Morales first, in there, and I'll put one on Gwen. I'm going to swap them over and see what that looks like, so I'll pause it. Not much difference really, but that's a better angle for Miles Morales. I will put his other web shooting hand in. I kind of like the shape of that figure in its pose. Let's put the other web shooting hand into Miles Morales' figure, and put the other gesture hand on Spider-Gwen. Yeah, I think I prefer this more with Miles Morales. He's both more dynamic and looks more like a spider in that sense, with those web shooting hands. And with Spider-Gwen, I thought she had a better gesture hand than that, but that's actually a fighting fist. But she's got a web shooting hand. Not a bad angle there from that position. So we'll move it on and see what else I can do. And there's your next one. Let's go to Miles Morales first. Great thing about these figures, they obviously designed them to really articulate, and on the wrist section you can really bend those hands out so you can see the web shooting hands. Same with Spider-Gwen. And I think you might see my finger again, but hopefully you ignored that and saw what I was posing out with these figures. So we'll move it on from that and give you the next one. Not sure about this one, but I thought I'd give it a go. I took him into a deeper pose, so he's lower than Spider-Gwen and she's looking more upwards. But I like the shape I've got the figure into. Not too bad. Like that one straight on. Let's come down low. That's not too bad. Let's pause it again. Yeah, it's a bit of a thing with these figures. You think you got something that you like on camera, but you're never sure until you see it. I think this one is kind of an average one for me, but I'm trying to get them into as many articulated poses as I can, and I quite like that, but not sure if I've got a favourite so far. Let's try a couple more before we wind it up. Not too bad. More upright. That's more like a Spider-Man thing that you see there, especially in the legs. And Spider-Gwen. I'll just put it on pause again. I'll put a bit of lighting in those towers I've got behind and see what that's like. I just changed them over onto the other side. Obviously Spider-Gwen was on the right, now she's on the left, just so I could get a better angle for her. But her pose hasn't really changed, and neither has Miles Morales. I've just tilted his head up slightly. And let's do one more, I think, before I take them off the flight stand and show you their head sculpts. I'm doing a Frank Spencer impression now. That's a bit wild actually, but I can imagine him doing that as he's going between buildings. I don't know what the hell's going on with Spider-Gwen there. I just went for anything I could really. Just a few wild ideas now. Not really coming up with anything in my head specific. Just experimentation. I might come back to this in a couple of months and get some poses in my head so that I can automatically go into stuff. But it's good to have a first try. But that is a wild one, I will say. I'm even tilting the camera to see if it looks good, but it doesn't. Right then, let's pause it and get their head sculpts on. And what I'll do, I was going to get them on the platform, but I'm just going to put the head sculpts on now, just see what that would look like. So, let's come to Miles Morales first. The main reason actually I bought this was because of that head sculpt. And I really do think they did well with this. And when I first got the figure, I didn't even put the helmeted version on. I just left him like this. I actually had him with fighting fists, and you're going to see that anyway, because he's got so much personality in that head sculpt, and I really did like it. And it was the same for Gwen. I think they did really good with this. So for the longest time, they're on a platform, not flight stands. And I had just the two of them in different dynamics, and I really liked it. So we're going to do a few more on the platform like this, see what that looks like. Stay tuned. So I always do the one knee thing, you know me, because I know that's what they've done in the past. I thought I'd start with this. Like that dynamic though. And as I say, I do think with that head sculpt and the way they've done this figure, you can get some good poses with the both of them. Let's get them on 2 feet. I wanted to get one standing up and one kneeling, so this is quick. Yep, not bad. And she's not changed. It's just this guy. Love the staring eyes. Really got that done well. But I'll get Gwen on her feet now. Difficult to do these on their feet because they've got very narrow feet, as you can see. The ankles are tight, but you've got to get that balance right. So I'm going to pause it before they fall over. So this is a more solid pose. I feel better about this. I hope I don't jinx it by them falling over. I've twisted her at her body. Tried to get movement. It's an okay one. Miles Morales, square on. Love that symbol on his chest. So I'm going to do one more called the poster pose, as I call it. And it will be the pose they will go back into my display with. Quite like it, so I'm going to stick with it for a while because I've had it before, so you're going to see that next, and we'll end it there. Let's do Miles Morales one more time. Miles Morales, should I say. Like that. Gwen. And I will put back his fighting fists and her gesture hands. So that's pretty much it really on the posing of these two figures. Let's come in close, and what I'll try to do is get Gwen's hand on his shoulder. He's looking upwards. Let's bring it round this way. Not a bad thing that I'm seeing in front of me, and that's how they're going to go back in my display. I might try one more, keep it the same pose, but just angle it differently. So let's try that. Yeah, I tilted his head down. Not a bad dynamic. There's kind of him looking down, feeling sorry for himself. If I take it up further, probably looks more like I want it to look. But I've got a few seconds left before I actually stop filming, so I might try another head gesture with Miles Morales. Yeah, that's more interesting. Seems like there's an actual conversation taking place. She's trying to talk him into something and he's looking to the side. I'm not sure about that. Let's have a look at the next one before we end it. So I think I'm going to wind it up there, and what I've tried to do is I'm going to keep him this way. He's going into the display this way. I think I'm going to even keep Gwen this way as well, or Spider Gwen, where she's got the hand on the other shoulder, as you can see. So yeah, I'm happy with that pose. That's how they're going to go in to my display. I'm going to keep the masks off and say thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.